I was a little more than 9 years old at that time. We, my father, mother, younger sister, my maternal grandmother and myself, lived in a fairly large house at Vanchur, Trivandrum. My father, in addition to being a building contractor, did some kind of business with waste paper. Near my house, half an acre filled with many coconut and jackfruit trees and flowering shrubs. This was a favorite haunt for me and my sister, who was 2.5 years younger. Here, we played hide and seek or just sat on the sacks and had great fun inventing new words and nonsense rhymes. The compound wall that surrounded the courtyard was very low, barely 3 feet in height, and was built of mud. Almost in the center of the courtyard, from the branch of an old jackfruit tree was suspended a sturdy swing. We enjoyed swinging on it and were often joined by children from our neighborhood who would easily climb over the low compound wall. There was also another jackfruit tree, a larger and perhaps older one, which stood at the far end of the courtyard on the right-hand corner. This was the tree under which the drama that changed my life completely took place. Both my sister and I went to the Holy Angels Convent, which was walking distance from home. As soon as we came back home, it was our usual practice to wash up, eat something light and play in the backyard till sunset. At sunset, we were supposed to wash our face, hands and feet and sit for a short Arabic and Urdu prayer with our grandmother. After that, school homework, dinner and sometimes a few stories from the Arabian Nights or her own experiences told by my grandmother, and then off to bed. That particular day, my sister, who was more studious than me, cut her playtime and went back into the house earlier than usual. I was wandering around the courtyard doing nothing in particular. Dusk was not far from setting in. The light had mellowed to a soft golden yellow. I thought I would go home too and perhaps find some snacks in the kitchen. So I turned towards the house. However, for reasons I cannot explain to this day, I turned instead and walked towards the jackfruit tree at the far end of the courtyard. There was someone standing under the tree and was gesturing to me to come forward. The normal instinct would have been to bolt, but instead, I was surprised that I felt no fear whatsoever. A strange eagerness to go closer to the stranger filled my heart. I quickened my steps and was soon standing in front of him. Now I could see clearly. The stranger was tall, extremely fair, and his well-built muscular body was bare except for a piece of white cloth that was wrapped around his waist and reaching just above his knees. He was also barefoot. I was intrigued by this strange man, who had slightly brown and thickly matted long hair gathered over his head in a big knot that looked like a tall hat. He wore large, brown, probably copper earrings and carried a black polished water pot in his right hand. By far, the most striking of his features were his eyes, large, brownish black, glittering and overflowing with love and affection. He put his right hand on my head without any hesitation, and his kind voice said, "Kuch yaad aaya" in Hindi, which means, "Do you remember anything?" I understood the stranger's words perfectly. He then removed his hand from my head and stroked the middle of my chest with it, saying, "You will understand later. Go home now." I still did not understand what he was trying to convey, but instantly obeyed the command to go back home. As I hurried back home, I felt as if his touch had made my heart lighter. Reaching the last step to the rear entrance of the house, I turned around to have a last glimpse of the stranger under the jackfruit tree. But he was gone. There was no one there.